Well, this is my property, and we bought the vacant lot next door and planted it with rhododendrons, and we call it the park. Sometimes my wife calls it the grotto, but I've got to make clear to her that no, a grotto is sort of an enclosed little space which is back there behind those rhododendrons. Two of the grandsons have tinkered with it back there to make a little meditational sitting space. And the reason I'm telling you all this is that I want to talk about property today. And it's not so much that I want to talk about it as I want to raise some questions. And I'm hoping maybe some of y'all out there can give me some answers. So here's the thing. The Palestinians bitch about that the Israelis took their land. Well, the Palestinians got it from the Ottomans, who they're not related to. The Turks are a new invasion. And the Ottomans, I think, took it from the Arabs. The Arabs took it from whoever was there in maybe, 700 AD, which would have been probably some Greeks and some leftover Romans, Byzantium. They took it from Greeks, and they took it from the Seleucids, who were Macedonian descendants of Alexander the Great's army, and they took it from the Jews. So it's, okay. So, this land that I'm looking at here, this beautiful yard of mine in the lake, we took it, stole it fair and square from the Native Americans. And I think if we just did a little research, we could figure out that a fair amount of the land owned by the Native Americans before we stole it from them, they stole it from somebody. I had a friend who, if I remember right, he was Tlingit or Tlingit, one or the other. And his people lived up on the coast of British Columbia. And he talked about that there was an inland tribe, didn't have access to the coast, and therefore, didn't have access to the oysters and mussels and clams and salmon, I suppose, and whales. And so they'd come raiding every little bit and try to grab that land away from the Tlingit or whoever. Klingons? No, I don't think it was the Klingons. Anyway, so, and we actually do have some history that the some of the Iroquois, I think it was, completely wiped out the Huron, genocide on the Huron. The Aztecs came, they took it from the Maya. Before that, the Maya, I guess, took it from the Olmecs. Who the hell did the Olmecs take it from? So here's the thing about land ownership. It's iffy. It's disputable. It's like, let's see. I think it was maybe Daniel Inouye said about the Panama Canal, hey, it's ours. We stole it fair and square. We did. We actually did. Panama used to be a province of the nation of Colombia. And Teddy Roosevelt wanted the canal. The French had begun it, and we wanted to buy it from the French, but, we kind of had to get title cleared up from the Colombians, and they were uncooperative, so we boosted a little revolutionary impulse in Panama, so that Panama then became a separate country from Colombia. And then we had enough leverage against that brand new little country to steal the Panama Canal. Well, and then Hawaii, Hawaii had a queen, and they were their own little nation, and the goddamn Congregationalists and sugar plantation people invited the Marines in. So the Marines came in and laid hostage to the queen, and we stole Hawaii. So every time I see some liberal or actor, celebrity talking about, free Tibet, give Tibet back to the Tibetans, get it away from the Chinese, I think, well, you know what? We got to give Hawaii back before we can have any kind of moral ground on which to complain about China stealing Tibet. All right, well, so what's got me thinking about all this is an economist named Hudson. I think he's at the University of Missouri. I urge you to look him up. And, you know, I'm trying to read this guy, and he's very, I don't know, I'm just not smart enough, or maybe I'm getting old and fuddy in the head, but I can just barely understand what the guy's talking about. But when I start thinking about land ownership, I start to get it. And so here's the thing. Somebody came in and found oil, let's say in Oklahoma. So we then stole the land from the Cherokee, poor Cherokee. We stole their land because there was gold on it. So we packed them up and shipped them from Georgia back out to Oklahoma. Then we found some oil and we booted them off and took that. Okay, so somebody now has ownership of that oil land, and they just charge, we'll say, rent, or they charge a royalty for the oil that's on their, quote unquote, their land. Now, it's their land because they forcibly took it. So what Hudson, the economist, is talking about is that there is a kind of, I'm going to say, unprofitable income extraction from rents and royalties from land and minerals that does not contribute to the economy, but instead is a parasite and sucks energy from the economy. So now, I recently invested quite a bit of money in a company my daughter works for that is developing artificial skin, or at least, no, not artificial, but developing a method to grow skin in such a way then that this actual living tissue can be put on people. And you know what? It's working. Miracles are happening. My daughter feels very good about the work that she's doing growing skin for burn victims and other kinds of skin loss. Well, okay, my investment in that gives people jobs and gives people skin. I'm going to say that your investment in Microsoft or Apple gives people jobs and moves the economy forward. But my investment in an oil company, or more to the point, my purchase of land under which there is oil, does not contribute to jobs. It merely sucks energy, sucks money out of the economy. And that's where the 1% is. They have all of that rent extraction. I don't know that they're putting a whole lot of money into General Motors and Ford and General Electric and Apple and Microsoft. They are owning these mineral and land possibilities that were taken forcibly. And okay, so as I understand it, Hudson is suggesting that if you buy stock in Apple, then yeah, you ought to get capital gains treatment. But if you buy, let's say, a real estate investment trust with a Weyerhaeuser in timberland or oil land or mineral lands, then you shouldn't get favorable tax treatment. In fact, you should get hit pretty hard because you're just sucking money out of the economy. Man, I really would like to hear from you as to whether or not I'm getting this straight, because, you know, it's not easy to get my mind around that one particular kind of investment gives people jobs and moves all of us forward, and another kind of investment doesn't do any of those things, just sucks energy out of the system. Sure would like to hear from you. Bye-bye.